Boss Rush 580 day 6. So this one's not really a good farm day, but there is a fun comp for it that's a reliable way to beat it. There's also a Geddon comp to beat it, and then I've got a third comp that is kind of like a budget comp that should work for some people if you can't make these other ones work. So I'm going to start with the Geddon comp, but we've also got a Deathwing comp. The Geddon comp is probably the simplest. The Deathwing comp is a funny one where you get to use this Demon Soul equipment to steal the dragon copies from the doubling ability on the neutral Kazakus ads. That one is a strategy thanks to one human on the subreddit who made a post about that, so go check that out and upvote his post if you like this strategy. And then the third one is a comp where we just use, it's basically a Malchezaar comp, and we're using Uther at the beginning to ensure that even if you have a weak Balinda, you can survive that transformation ability from Kazakus, because this one lets him transform on turn 1. So that you can get the all realities off easier. Now, if you have a strong enough Balinda, you can omit the Uther and just tank that damage from Balinda, and then you have an extra party slot to work with, and you can kind of do the same strategy if you wanted to do that. But this one is supposed to be a more budget-friendly version. So I'm going to start with the Geddon comp, because it's the simplest one if you have a strong enough Balinda and Geddon. So we're going to use our Water Elemental, Arena Contender, Fresh Peaches on Nemsy, and you want like 300-ish healing on Can't Touch This should be good enough for this one. Actually, like 250 or 225 or something like that you could probably get by with. But if you get up to like 300, it allows you to swing with your guys into the Rend ad that's left over. And then Geddon as normal with his Mark of Conflagration, and then we've got Gilnean Strength on Genn, and Round of Drinks on Edwin. And this could really be like any artillery mercenary. I think Edwin's the best one to choose for your second slot. And I'll go over the other comps before I do the run with them. So if I don't hit my treasures, I'm just gonna retire the run. If I miss bad enough that I can't continue, and then on one of these runs we'll get all the way through, and I'll show how the later fights play out. But they're pretty straightforward, so I don't see the need to show all of them if I end up whiffing. So you're just gonna start with Balinda, Bwonsamdi, and Nemsy here. And we just freeze the Kazakus. And I am going to put some fire weakness on him. So he has plus 475 health, so it just depends on, are you strong enough to deal with the anomaly if you need to reroll. You could just reroll until you get no health anomaly on Kazakus. The ideal roll would be no health anomaly on any of them. But I guess I can go ahead and try it with this. I think I can beat this, but it might be sketchy at the end. We just want to put like as much damage as possible into Kazakus though. But the damage on the dragons does matter. And then from here you just go Balinda, Geddon, and Bwonsamdi every turn. And to maximize your treasure odds, for winning the run, you really just want your artillery strikes and your Nemsy alive. But you can keep the other guys alive. Alright, so we're just gonna shoot here. And I basically only freeze if they double, but I'm gonna freeze one now. I'm gonna freeze the higher health one. Because you might end up being able to AoE them down if they never cast doubling, without having to spend a water elemental on one of them, which would be optimal, but I like to freeze one because they could both cast doubling. And then you don't want them to double. And I froze the higher health one because it puts the crit debuff from their passive here. So this one took a bunch of extra damage. Okay, no doubling. And I'm not sure how the damage works. I might end up having to freeze him anyway. When my Bwonsamdi's gonna die. And as you can see, my Inferno here does 277 if you're trying to gauge your Geddon strength. Okay, so he's going to take a hit here, and he would die. So I'm going to go ahead and freeze. You probably end up just having to freeze every time. Because we don't want Bwon to die just yet. We want to get one more bounce. Okay, and then you just refreeze the Kazakus on this turn. And we still have immunity for absorbing the dragon hits. And since he's not transformed, that Frenzy Cleave doesn't really hurt. You don't have to worry about it. When he transforms, though, it hurts a lot. It adds like 121 damage to it. So here I usually end up losing my Bwonsamdi if there's a health buff on the golems. But they didn't have a health buff this time, so they just die. And it can be beneficial to try to kill some of these guys off, like I was mentioning earlier. On a previous run, I had my Bwonsamdi die. Okay, I didn't take into account that he was going to die there, but that's actually good. And then for who I want to put out here, I guess I'll put Genn out. I didn't check their hit points before the Inferno. So yeah, he was 4 hit points above my Inferno damage, so if I had one more point in either Inferno or Conflag, that Golem would have died there. But that's fine. And then do I need to health buff? He might get this transformation off. You could either health buff here or just do damage. And keep in mind, this does 121 more damage than what it says because he gets a passive when he transforms. So this would do 257 blue damage, which I could survive if I transform. Or I could just health buff now, and then it would do 514 damage. I think. Yeah, that sounds right. 514. So, yeah, I would survive if I just do this, and then I can keep him in red form. So he would already be dead here if I didn't have the health anomaly. Okay, and we're not worried about that, so that's a win. So now you want to hit, can't touch this, 2 artillery strikes is ideal, and things like Stonehearth Salvation are good. So there's 1 artillery, Stonehearth Salvation. So now we don't have to fight Maestra. If you did have to fight Maestra, Genn and Nemsy can totally lock her down. You just spam Boggy Blast every turn, and then you have Genn summons, so you could do like Genn, Geddon, Nemsy is a pretty safe team for it. She can also be locked down with like Khadgar and Genn if you had a Khadgar comp, because the ads there will. I don't think any of this stuff really matters. Okay, we whiffed there, so we're gonna have to fight the next ad. I guess this one's the best. So I think if you hit two artillery strikes, which I've actually never hit on this run yet, then you don't have to fight the blue ad here. So can't touch this is really nice for this blue ad if you have it. I guess we'll just do, what did we get for treasures? Oh, we have Stonehearth Salvation. So I'm just gonna run these guys. You can transform your Genn if you're worried about the crits. This can get like 200 fire damage. I don't even have to transform though. Try not to let your water elemental die if you use Balinda, because this passive here will summon a copy when the water elemental dies. So you might need to maybe not use Balinda, or just depends on what treasures you get basically. And he just has two different abilities, this Heat-Seeking Flame and then the Magma Blast. I think those are the only attacks he has. And then if you do get a Water Elemental that's buffed enough, you can just freeze him. And he should die here. This thing doesn't get very much hit points. It's mostly just surviving like a couple turns of attacks from it. Nemsy is the safest option for it, though. If you do hit her, can't touch this. Alright, and then this is just a standard Balinda fight where you use Genn and even speed abilities, and you can't die. As long as you have the artillery strike, of course. You need 220 artillery strike to get rid of Sayge there. We're going to use Genn and Geddon and I guess Balinda. Alright, and then Genn can activate that so that we can get our fire ramp here. And this is going to die anyway. Or actually it wouldn't die, but I don't care about keeping it around. It's not going to do anything better for us later, really. Since we have the Stonehearth Salvation, it keeps it alive. And then I usually just spam the Fire Weakness to also heal Balinda. You only have to heal every other turn, so you don't have to worry about like using your force speed on the turn you get Crestfallen. You can just do it when the Frostburn's on cooldown. And you can also get Atiesh on Balinda, which makes it go even faster. Alright, so that's the bounty with the Geddon comp. Probably the simplest and easiest solution if you have the stats for it. "20 turns. Not the worst for having to fight 3 bosses. Okay, and then the next one I'm going to show the Deathwing one, which was a strategy that we modified slightly from the one that was posted on the subreddit by one human, but they are the one that pointed out the Deathwing thing. So we're using our water elemental like usual, Arena Contender, and then the Demon Soul here on Deathwing. You don't really care what his stats are. Fresh Peaches on Nemsy, Gilnean Strength on Genn, and Round of Drinks on Edwin. So they used Malchezaar in their comp. They mentioned that they did that for Maestra, but Genn and Nemsy can already beat Maestra on their own. So you don't really need that additional slot, so I went ahead and slotted in the additional artillery strike. You can also, instead of Edwin, bring Khadgar here to make this first fight more reliable. I actually have my party order incorrect here. You should have these guys for the start, and then you don't bring Deathwing in until turn 2. And we want damage. I guess we'll put this here. Just freeze him. Do our immune taunt. So now there is RNG here. You need them to use their doubling attack so that you can yoink the doubles. So it can happen on turn 2, and that's what we're hoping for. And you want to bring Balinda out so that you can choose to freeze one of the ads if it's not using doubling. And part of the reason for that is that they can like take a long time. See, like neither of them is using doubling here, but we don't want to freeze them now. So I'm gonna ramp fire, and I guess I could use this destroy all life. I'll take a little bit of damage, but it shouldn't kill me. I'll take like 33. And I position like this so that Deathwing doesn't tank the cleaves. Alright, do we get doubling? No. Unlucky. We just bounce again. So now we're not going to have a bounce next turn, which is where these elementals might come into play. And by the end of this, we really just want Nemsy, Edwin, and Genn alive. So it is fine if all of these die, as long as we get through the fight. Okay, we got a doubling. So I'm going to freeze this guy. And then this one will not kill my Bwonsamdi. So I'm going to shoot there. Ramp fire. And if you do this taunt and he hits your Deathwing, you will get the summoned copy as long as you have board space for it. But keep in mind that this taunt does summon that Elementium Terror as well. So I'm not going to have the board space, I believe, if I do the taunt. So I'm just going to let that hit Bwonsamdi instead. But this elemental will get out of the way. I probably should have used the injured one. Okay, and now what he's doubling. So I'm gonna bounce again. I'm gonna shoot here, and we're gonna freeze that Kazakus. And you can go ahead and kill your Deathwing now, or you can keep him around to yoink again. But we are gonna want to kill him off by the end. This will make board space, so I'm going to swing here. And I could freeze one of these, or I can save this for Kazakus. I'm gonna save it. I'm not sure which is better there. Because you are kind of like fighting against their doubles. So, it is good to kind of race down the ads so you can like get rid of them before they double a whole bunch of times. So it might be good to just have that freeze there and then refresh the freeze. But we can freeze it next turn and it's kind of the same thing. Now these count as mercenaries, so they do take up slots. So now I only get one more guy here. Who do we want to use? I could use Bwonsamdi. But he will probably end up dying to a melee attack if I do that. I'm not sure if I want to kill him off yet. I'm going to use Deathwing. We might get to yoink another copy, and we want to get rid of him soon anyway, so if he ends up dying without us yoinking again, that's fine. Okay, we're going to yoink both of these copies. Well, he might kill the Deathwing first. I'm actually going to tank with the Deathwing. And it's here, maybe. I want to minimize the number of copies that they get. So now we should just have all dragons at the end of this turn. It doesn't make you put out a new guy. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we actually lost that. That's fine, though. So this will make me crit. And then we can double there. So this is going to do 320, 640, 652. It's a little annoying. Guess it's less damage to go here. We'll put 3 into this. And the other skills aren't really valuable because you'll never take damage before attacking, because all their stuff is slow. So he is using backlash, so if I hit this with anything, it's going to get backlashed. That's fine though. So I'll hit with these ones first. I do just want to get rid of this thing though. And whatever overkills will overkill. Or go into Kazakus. So you kind of want to pay attention to like which ones are injured. So you want to swing with the injured ones first, and then make a copy from one of your high health ones when you're choosing your attack order. And you can even like save one like this to be high health, so that when he summons these golems, I can make higher health copies off of the small golems. We didn't have any die though, but you can just like preserve one's health to make them last longer. Now we can choose to kill off Balinda and Bwonsamdi if we want to maximize our treasure odds, or we can choose to keep one or both of them alive. I'm probably going to kill off Bwonsamdi though, ideally. And you do want to pay attention here. If he uses backlash, try not to swing into these adjacent ones unless you want those units to die. I'm actually going to do this with high health guys first, so that they take the smaller hits. And you don't really, it doesn't matter what you target, because they're going to hit the taunts first. So if you do want to kill off mercenaries that are on your bench, you have to get down to you have to get at least 3, or you have to get down to at least 2 mercenaries in play. So we need 4 of these to die if we want to bring someone else out. So I'm going to stop using doubling because he's getting low. It's 320. Oh, so you have to keep in mind this passive makes them deal more damage. So they're doing 281 damage each. So I kind of want to just swing with 2 of them. Oh, right, that one died to the swipe. That's fine, though. Okay, so I want 2 of these to die. Do I want to bring out characters or 1 character? I guess the best trigger odds are to kill off both. Oh, well, I didn't add it up correctly. Whatever. I forgot about the passive again, and yeah. So you'd have to kind of just like AFK there until he killed your guys off, ideally. We'll just continue, though. But that's how the fight goes. Just be careful with the passive and if you're trying to kill stuff off. I got too many different strategies in my head from trying to figure out what to show people for this one. So I can show you how to beat this fight if you don't get super lucky or anything. So really, you just need these guys. So this fight is solved at this point. And then you can use whoever for your third. I'm just going to use Balinda because I have Atiesh. It'll speed the fight up. You do want to keep in mind that you're constricted on board space here. So you've got 5 mercenaries. So you only get to summon 1 thing here. So I want to summon with Nemsy. I don't care about the water elemental. And you can use Bwonsamdi and do like a bounce if you did have him alive. I was going to kill him off though, so we would assume that he would be dead. But generally speaking, all you have to do is like Boggy Blast every turn, and then she can never get through. She can Wicked Stab these guys, but you can also like Scaly Taunt to mitigate that damage a little bit. They can end up dying, and then you might have to like cover with a Genn Taunt plus your Boggy, but generally she can't get through. So I guess I'll just Fire Weakness her to start, but then we'll shoot fire afterwards. You can also just try to get rid of these early to deal with them. So you could like taunt with 1 if you wanted to. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. And we're not gonna lose our Boggy this turn. I'm just gonna buff it. I'm gonna ramp some fire. And I could actually even like shoot one of these and then get a summon out already, but I don't need to do anything like that. Okay, and that'll be fine. So we have a big enough Boggy here to tank that, and then she can hit into it, so we're good there. I guess I can... This Boggy won't survive, but it's fine. And I'll go ahead and make an extra taunt just to be safe. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of this thing now. We have the extra taunt for safety, so... Okay, so now you just Boggy Blast every turn, do as much damage as you can, and get Genn summons when you can. You can even finish the fight with just Nemsy and Genn after the first boss. And you can beat all the rest of it with just those 2. You'd want to ideally hit an artillery strike and can't touch this, but that is enough to finish the full run. And as you can see, even if you like mess up and leave guys alive, the strategy is pretty robust. For getting through this, so you get another chance at your treasures, and then you're going to need to hit at least one artillery strike, though, before Rend. Ideally hit 2. So we might have to concede this run if we don't get it here. Oh, well that's not good. I don't think you can... You might be able to beat Rend with just can't touch this. I don't really want to try. If you want to try, though, have a party. But the last 2 fights are basically the same with that comp as the first one that I showed, so you can just go check out the other one if you want to see how that plays. And then this last comp here is going to be the Uther Malchezaar comp, so I'm using the Water Elemental on Balinda, Arena Contender, the Libram of Sacrifice, and you're going to want your Uther to be weak enough that he'll die to the melee attack of one of the neutral guys, because we're going to freeze one and let the other one hit us, but we need Uther to die so that he puts Divine Shield on your Balinda and Bwonsamdi on turn 1 before the transformation occurs. So in my case, because my Uther is a little bit beefy, I am going to have to roll for high attack on the neutrals, but I don't think most of you will have that problem. Most people have a base level Uther. And then Malchezaar, I believe none of this matters. Just don't use the flying axis because you don't want to change the color of the boss. And then I'm using the Bitter Chill on Khadgar like normal, and Gilnean Strength on Genn. So this comp, it gets through the first boss pretty cleanly, but it kind of struggles on the third boss. So you're going to need to hit some specific treasures on the third boss. Okay, good. They're strong enough to kill my Uther. So usually you want like Stonehearth Salvation, Atiesh, and obviously you need an artillery strike to continue. Okay, so here we freeze one of these ads. They're both doing the same thing, so it doesn't matter which one. Bounce, and we taunt our Uther. And then this one, damage here doesn't matter, so I'm just going to put some Frost Weakness on that guy. So this one's going to kill our Uther, these guys get Divine Shield, and then this is to protect your Balinda in case she's not strong enough to survive this AoE. Because the AoE does the Shadow Anomaly plus the 121 passive, so it can hit pretty hard. And I know some of you guys might not have a strong enough Balinda for that. Okay, so here we just bring out Balinda, Khadgar, Bwon, and this is going to let us get our Hearthfire off and freeze the second ad. And then Khadgar's all set up for the cleanup. And there's several different things Kazakus can do here. He can do Backlash. He can do summon a bunch of golems. If he does the golems, though, when you bounce this time, the golems stay on the bench and these same 3 come back out. So you don't have to worry about the golems getting in the way of your All Realities turn. So we just do our Hearthfire, our bounce, and do not use Frostburn if he backlashes. You will kill your Balinda. But we'll go ahead and shoot at this guy because she'll act before the backlash. So now both of these have Frost Weakness. We don't care about damage on Kazakus because we're going to Realities him next turn. Okay, so Malchezaar. And let's see, who did I use on this last time, if I can remember? So I think you usually want to save your Khadgar on the bench. I think I did Balinda and Bwonsamdi because they're both technically disposable. Your Balinda should survive here, though. It kind of depends on what he uses, though, because there might be some things that are not great outcomes. Backlash is a pretty easy one to deal with. So we just all realities. I'm actually going to use the water elemental to kill him, and that allows me to bounce. So he'll go to 5 HP, and then he'll get hit by the water elemental and die. We don't want to use Frostburn against Backlash, but there are some of the other outcomes where he'll use like Twilight Extinction, and then you could finish him off with the Frostburn instead, and then save the elemental. But we don't need the elemental anymore. I can't think. Maybe the Golem summon on this turn. That happens at 8 speed, in which case wouldn't be able to bounce. So you'd have to shoot with your Bwonsamdi and then bounce, and then you might have trouble keeping your Balinda alive. So that's probably the worst outcome here, but you can potentially still play around it. You can just like save your water elemental in that case, freeze one of these guys, bounce with Bwonsamdi, and then hopefully they won't kill it. The one guy that's left won't be able to kill your Balinda, because you don't care if these guys die. Okay, so for the outcome we actually got, we are just all realities. We are finishing him with the water elemental and we're bouncing, so it doesn't really matter what our Balinda does, but he will be dead, so we can go ahead and ramp some frost damage here. But just be careful normally with Backlash. If you don't have water elemental to kill him before this goes off, that would kill your Balinda, so be careful. Okay, so now Khadgar solves the rest of the fight. So you do have the option, if you want to, you can keep all of these guys alive. You can use Malchezaar to kill Maestra, but he will reduce your artillery strike odds, and you do need to hit an artillery strike before Rend. So I like to kill him off, and I also like to kill Bwonsamdi off. So Khadgar just roots every turn, and that takes care of these guys. We just need to make sure we kill both of these guys off before this is over. Since I got the melee attack there, I decided to get a nice crit here with Bwon. Now I'll bring out Balinda to ramp Khadgar. Okay, I need to get rid of Bwonsamdi. I guess I can go ahead and swing now. Is anybody doubling? No. I'll save this for a doubling. It doesn't really matter because you AoE a lot, but it does speed it up a tiny bit if you prevent the doubling. Okay, there's a doubling. And I guess I'll just do this. I could try to get a binding contract off, but I don't really care. Okay, so now we just root and ramp, and they eventually die. And you can make summons if you want, but you shouldn't need to. Oh, actually summons are good. I'm gonna make summons, because you can swing with them, and then they'll crit. They'll put the crit debuff on. I'm gonna shoot the doubling guy. I briefly forgot about the using them to crit. Anybody doubling? Okay, those are. So I'm gonna shoot the high health one. Okay, this one's doubling. We'll crit that one. could have summoned first to prevent that from dying, but I was too lazy to reorder them after I realized it. Okay, so Genn and Khadgar also solves Maestra, because you can root the 5-speed, and you can block the 4-speed with a taunt. So we'll take Atiesh here. Alright, well this is really bad. So we have to hit the reroll here in order to beat Rend. I would like to show Rend with this comp though, because it is the hardest part of this strategy. So I might have to run this again. And your positioning shouldn't really matter in this fight. So I usually block with one of those to start with. And we'll do that. And that covers our Hearthfire turn. And this one will get to hit whatever it wants, but it's only 100 damage, even if it crits, so I don't really care. And sometimes she'll 5-speed here, but you just root that. Do I want to ramp Frost or Fire? I don't think it really matters. I guess I'll ramp Frost. You can also use the Water Elemental to prevent the 5-speed. I guess I'll just get rid of this. I could have also made sure that that's did its attack first, so the Frostburn hit it after it was summoned, but it doesn't really matter. Be careful if you have Everywhere Worgen, it will remove the taunt. Don't think this matters too much. I'm just gonna get rid of this elemental. I could have actually attacked with that. It was big enough, but I was too lazy to count. If you haven't noticed by now, my gameplay style is to only do math if I have to. If it takes me a couple extra turns to kill something, I don't really care. Alright, so that's how you do Maestra with Khadgar and Genn. So we really want Stonehearth Salvation and a reroll for Artillery Strike. Didn't get it. Alright, well this is a bust. No Artillery Strike, no win. I'll try this one another time. First fight's... it seems extremely consistent with this comp. So I think this one is a decent option, if you can't make the others work. And I did get the attack anomaly again that allows my Uther to work. They only have 125 base, but I think a lot of you guys will have a less than 125 point Uther. So we get our Khadgar. Okay, he's doing Extinction this time, which is fine. So we're gonna go here, bounce. And I actually like to hold the Frostburn here. Because you can use it to finish him off next turn on some of the ability uses. Although I think Twilight Extinction is one of the ones where I would usually do that, so maybe if he uses that this turn, you would Frostburn. I'm not sure what's optimal.
Do you take me for an ordinary mage?
You think that could beat me?
We got the backlash again, so I'm just going to do the same thing I did the last time. And again, if you didn't finish him off with the water elemental, you would want to not use Frostburn here, so you don't get backlash to death. Okay, this time, do the same thing again. Just need to kill these two off. And you can do a freeze bounce here if you want. Let's attack first so we get a crit. Probably good to freeze bounce. Limits their copies, and you get an extra water elemental to crit with. And we should have plenty of time to kill off our guys.
Nobody's around. How about we play a game?
Um, okay, so now we'll kill off our Bwonsamdi.
I can smell your fear. Job's done.
I don't really care about the crits because this guy's low enough. Alright, let's get some artillery strike this time. We already showed Maestra, so hopefully I just hit artillery right away. Very nice. And these all suck, but it's this one. Hopefully we get a reroll on the Khadgar and get like Atiesh. I would like Stonehearth Salvation from Balinda now. There we go. Oh, and we got the reroll too. Very nice. Alright, so this is what you're looking for your treasures. And she does have like a cleave attack. And it likes to shoot at water elemental too. So I'm gonna position like this. It just wants to kill. It tries to kill whatever it can. So it'll usually shoot at whatever's lowest health because it's trying to activate this passive, I guess, and just to kill things in general. But I'm strong enough that I don't have to transform. You could transform your Genn here if you need to. And you can also use Hearthfire, get more hit points. And it doesn't really matter which of these you do. This one can heal you. And then you typically want to not swing if you have the water elemental. That's why the Stonehearth Salvation is important, because you want it to not die so it doesn't copy. And if it gets big enough, you can actually freeze him. So I'm just going to summon a guy. Now, if you do summon here, keep in mind that this thing can shoot at it. So it needs to be big enough. I'm actually going to not summon with him. And again, you can transform him if you need to. You can also keep spamming Hearthfire if you need to. I'm going to not swing one more time. But this thing does not have very much hit points, as you can see here. So you only have to get through a couple of turns. And that should be the fight. So... And then last boss is just the same thing. Just again, spam even speed attacks, and you basically can't lose as long as you have your artillery strike. And positioning shouldn't really matter. Since I have Atiesh, I'll go ahead and act on turn 1. Usually I just pass turn 1. Alright. I guess I'll ramp fire damage since she's green. You can mess around with the Genn summons and stuff if you feel like it, but they're not needed at all. And you may also need to use the Prismatic Bolt if you ever need to heal with the Genn passive on Khadgar. But I have Stonehearth Salvation, so I don't have to mess with that at all. You can also use the Genn summons to heal Khadgar instead. Alright, and that should take care of it. So there's day 6 with 3 different comps. The Deathwing one is probably the coolest. Shout out again to One Human, or On3 Human. Yes, I guess it's Elite Speak E in his name from Reddit. "22 turns. Be decent. Good luck on your run."